Hey everyone, one of the big problems with B2B leads is getting the actual email addresses you need for a cold email campaign and getting the kind of the information you need in order to enrich your data and get what you need to run a cold email campaign. Now there's a few competitors in the market out there. There's companies like Apollo, uh, and there's companies like, I think it's ZoomInfo is another one. These are software as a service that will get you the lead information you need, but at a cost. Now, they can be quite expensive, in the hundreds of dollars per month for the kind of volumes of emails you need to actually get a successful campaign going. Now, what I've discovered is actually this product Apify.com, which is basically kind of like an API scraping. Well, what's the way to describe it? An API scraping alternative, and it's an alternative, as it says here, an affordable alternative to ZoomInfo, Lusher, and Apollo. This is one particular actor on the platform, which is called Leads Finder. $1.50 for 1,000 leads with emails. Apollo alternative. I mean, that says it all in a nutshell. Basically, here you can see I've got 10,000 leads. These are all the ones we just saw there, which were these are all accountants in Australia, and there's 10,000 odd of them, and it's cost me $20 US. Now, recently I was actually quoted the price of $700 for a list of 10,000 Australian dentists, which I could just as easily get off this service for $20 US, and that's a massive, massive saving. So that's the benefit of actually using this method, using this actor being on Apify.com Leads Finder, and of course, as usual, we need to use make.com to actually make this all happen and stitch it together. So let's have a look at how we actually do that. So it's pretty simple. There's two scenarios I've got here. One actually runs the actor, runs this particular piece of software that will scrape all the data, and one saves that result into an Airtable, this one here, and it becomes consumable by our cold email campaign, which we'll look at later in the week. Okay, so let's have a look at make.com and how we're making this happen. So start off, I've chosen to, you could do this in one step being the Apify step, but I've chosen to separate it into a variable setter, being job title and fetch count. So we could have, say, dentist. And you can actually have a fetch count of up to 50,000 with this actor. But for this, I'm just going to do 5, just so we see him get it. Actually, the way I've got it set up at the moment, it's going to save to the wrong spot. So you can put up to 50,000, I believe, with this particular actor. I won't actually run this in this situation because I just haven't got wired up correctly. But fetch count is obviously the number of records and the number of emails we want to get. What that does, it feeds into Apify, run an actor. Now, as I'm sure you can ascertain, Apify connection is just an OAuth authentication. As long as you've got a paid subscription to Apify, that is one downside. You need to pay for the paid plan to use this method, which costs us $39 US, but that gives you $39 US worth of credits. That's just a little disclaimer there. Okay, so Leads Finder is the actor. Contact job title, we set it in the previous step, so it would have been dentist if we had run what I had there. Contact location, I'm in Australia, so I just use Australia. Now, this is a really useful field here. Email status validated. Now, that's really beneficial because it means that your emails won't be going to just any old mailbox that some lead scraper's found. It actually goes to a validated email address. Fetch count, as we said, can be up to about 50,000. Size is actually the number of employees in the company that we're actually looking for leads for. You can set a maximum cost per lead, the build, time out, memory. That's all. You don't need to fill these in that much unless you want to specify maximum cost or a specific build of the actor or a timeout for that matter. Okay, so we did hit one thing there, which was how do we get that piece of JSON that actually sets the configuration? It's nice and easy. If we go to JSON, we go to information. So we go to Apify and we go to information and we go to inputs. See here, there's a form. What you can do is you can say, okay, I want an accountant. Let's change that to dentist. I want a dentist. Move me out of the way. You can check seniority level. Let's say we only want founders. No, that's really not that relevant for dentists. We'll just leave that blank for the moment. Location include. You can set the Australia being the country and the city. I find the city's a little unreliable, so I'm just going to remove that. You can exclude locations. Email status, we want validated for sure. You've got a bit of choice here, not validated, unknown. I'd leave it at validated just to be safe. There seems to be enough in the database that it doesn't really matter too much. Sorry, what I should say is it won't limit your output numbers if you only choose validated too much. There's still plenty out there. Company website. Okay, include company. Yeah, that we don't need to worry too much about that. Size. Now this is the size of the company. I've chosen small companies in this case. Again, there's more and more information there, but the trick is what that'll do. Now I've put that in, it'll push it across to the JSON format. All we would need to do is copy that information and put it back into make.com. Put that back into this field here, which will come up in just a moment, and we just copy it out and paste it in here. Okay, so we would run that. What it would do when we run it, it would send an instruction to Apify, and it'd do a run, and just ignore the fact that this said it timed that. It actually didn't. It ran 10,273. I think it cut off because I'd set the maximum to 10,000. For unknown reasons, it went a little bit over. Maybe that's why it timed out. Okay, so then when we've got that, this is called a data set, this one here in the runs. We would need to save those lead script results. This particular piece of, this module, I should say, will watch the active runs, and when it creates like an inbuilt webhook, as it says here, we attach this webhook automatically for you. What that does is when this run finishes, they are a little bit slow. It took me 50 minutes to download 10,000 records there. When that's finished, it'll send an instruction to this module. This here gets the dataset items. You need to get the default dataset ID. We'll just show you where this is. This is in the output of the watch active runs. So datasets key is one of these ones. Default dataset ID is the one you want. Whereabouts is it? It is there, I promise you. There it is there. I'm hoping you can see my mouse. Let's see if I'll hover over that and you can see where it is. I've set an offset here. Let's actually remove that. It was because I had a failure in the middle of my airball saving. We'll put that back, leave that as saved. And then we want to create an Airtable record. Instead of Airtable, you could use Google Sheets. It'd be a lot simpler. I chose to use Airtable just because I had access to it at the time. And have a paid plan with Airtable, which is handy, but you don't actually need that. You could use a Google Sheet just as easily. And basically, you just fill in all the data as it comes through. All of this information comes from the get dataset items. You see there's a bunch of information here. Just fill that in the appropriate fields. See there's a bunch of them there. I didn't worry about those. They're just make metadata. Cancel it. And you would run this. It would save all the information into your Airtable or Google Sheet or whatever method you could use. Gee, you could create a CSV and save a CSV, I've no doubt. See, there's all this information. Here's the email address. I've just chose to obscure them in case anyone is worried about privacy. This actually gives you a bunch more information than I would have required, but it's very, very handy. Things like their job title, their LinkedIn profile, the company name, the company website, which is important in my case, industry, company size, headline. I'm not sure what headline is. It's just their job title, it looks like. And there's some more information at their functional level, which is really handy when it comes to cold email campaigns. State, city, address of their business. Now it has their company LinkedIn, and there's an interesting field along here. This is all for the same price. Company domain. It has the company description, which is really handy if you want to do kind of AI taglines within your emails. I'll see if I can get this to show up. Expand record. Okay, so company description. This would be very handy when it comes to creating some personalized email information. Also has company technologies, which could be very useful for you. I'm not sure how accurate this actually is, but it looks pretty useful. Yeah. Anyway, that's how you can get information on the cheap. Instead of your $700 10,000 lead list, you can get it down to $20 US, and that's a massive saving. And I really just wanted to share this, just give you an idea of what is out there in terms of Apify.com and Make.com. Thanks very much for listening. Hey there, Sam here. I'm just interrupting your video. Basically, if you need more qualified B2B leads delivered straight to your inbox, it's something I can assist you with. I use AI and automation to reach your ideal customers at scale. Reach out to me using the email in my bio link or a link in the description to work with me, and maybe we can find you some customers.